At least it's available. So, any questions or requests this morning?
Not really.
That was a sigh, Carol.
Focus isn't in my strong point.
Anything for you, Shell?
Nothing. I think everything emptied out of my head last night.
Oh dear, that was a bad fall.
Did you hit your head?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah.
but she has such a nice hard head.
In a previous life, I was a Labrador retriever.
You sure you weren't a golden retriever? So, um, in your notes that I'm going to send you later, um, it begins with a discussion that Bruce did about hard and soft breathing, um, which I'm not going to go through. I think you can just read it. Um, Principally because basically in what we do, we're really focusing on soft breathing. Hard breathing is really intended to develop physical power. And while martially it's very useful, in terms of Neigong, it's not used a great deal. Although there are some practices in meditation where it comes up. But basically, soft breathing is what we focus on. So I decided not to get into that. There was no particular practice related to it. It was really a discussion of it. So just for your information, I've included it.
Would that be the sort of thing I might indulge in to wake myself up? If I'm I'm finding myself dozing off, so if I did know something about
yes.
that, it might be
Indeed.
helpful.
Yes. The other thing we're going to look at today, upward dissolving,
Well, could be useful.
also can be useful that way. Because actually I'll mention this later, but downward dissolving is basically yin, and upward dissolving is basically yang. And so in terms of increasing strength, awareness, all kinds of things, upward dissolving, if you're ready to do it, is very helpful. So, something we haven't talked about before, and guys, don't we have a lot of that in this? So, the reason why downward dissolving is always taught in Taoist practices first could be described in this way. Downward dissolving releases any energy that that's in you that you cannot use. Like a person cannot use a trauma, a person cannot use blind stupidity because the brain doesn't work very well. So in other words, you have blockages, and downward dissolving is what is used to release these particular blockages. Now normally in all Taoist practices there are many ways of dissolving, until eventually you are able to arrive at a point where you're actually dissolving everything that's inside of you at every level all at once. And that's not that radically different than in Dzogchen, when you arrive at what is called being of the primordial space or the primordial view. You end up in the same place, but it's not that easy to do. For example, using something else that is similar to this, Tibetan Buddhism, has all these practices to get rid of your blockages. They use different deities, they have practices you just do mentally, they have ones where you do it with breathing practice, directly moving the qi in the body. But another way of just describing all these practices is very simple. They are how to progressively start getting rid of the normal spiritual blockages that you need to. And the way that Taoism does it is through dissolving. Now they have dissolving in Tibetan Buddhism, but it is not a primary technique. It's a secondary method, whereas in Taoism, the central method is dissolving. Now, you dissolve everything down because if you start really bringing energy up the body and you have a blockage, you could blow the blockage wide open. And this is just like a pipe that is designed to have 1,000 pounds per square inch of pressure, but you suddenly put 5,000 pounds per square inch through it, and then you blow the pipe up. Well, you can have the same thing energetically if you bring energy upward and the blockages inside you are severe enough. This is what can happen, and it's how people get sick, go crazy, or become mentally destabilized. So downward dissolving is done first. But in God's playing in the clouds, it is presumed that by the time you have gone through all the earlier Neigong, and that you have done downward dissolving, that you are really ready to do upward dissolving. If you start doing upward dissolving and things start getting intense, my advice to you is don't do it. Wait until you get in perhaps a master or a teacher who can actually look at you and figure out what the heck is going on. But that usually, even when they figure it out, what's going on most of the time is going to be about your need to get the downward dissolving together more. You can run too much energy up the body and hit blockages you cannot process. This can start blowing the blockages up and destabilizing your system. And if you go far enough, you will cause severe illness, physical or mental. So if you feel that dissolving upward is too much for you, simply forget doing it for the time being until you arrive where upper dissolving is not too much for you. And this doesn't have a specific number of days, weeks, or months type of timeline. It's a question of when your capacity to rise to a sufficiently higher level that you can pull it off. So now we have upward dissolving. For some of you, this will be great, and for some people, they go through um, through it and maybe decide that it's not right for them yet. If it's not, trust yourself and don't make it yet. The other point is, why did people do upward dissolving? It's because what upward dissolving and upward energy flows do in the body, they open up latent capacities. If you're weak, opening up your capacities will help you become stronger. You're stupid, you open up your capacities, and you become smarter. So it is about what natural talents you have, or what is blocked up inside of you, yearning to be free. The upward current can release it and make it free. As long as it's not causing any damage, then there is no problem in doing upward dissolving. And the reason why downward dissolving is emphasized first is because most people have got stuff that's not so cool inside of them. So until you get rid of that, it's not the smartest idea. Someone who is strong enough, even if there is a bit of damage, can withstand it and roll with it until they work it out. But if the person's weaker and they get some sort of damage and they don't know how to roll with it, then they can get crushed by it. So if you're not ready, don't do it. So,
Am I being sad?
we're going to try it. So, obviously Shelley, I think, is going to sit and do this, but it does work better standing.
All right.
So just stand and find your basic structure, or sit and find good structure to begin with. And just let your arms hang by your sides. And as we've done actually in downward dissolving, extend your mind through your body. But now you want to bring your mind down to your feet. One of the things you want to keep in mind is that you don't want to be so precise that you're going for specific energy gates when we begin to dissolve. So you're endeavoring to feel the etheric body down below your feet. And start dissolving whatever you find from the bottom of your etheric body. And here, when you find a blockage, ice to water, and water to gas. We always start this practice with outer dissolving. Inner dissolving is a later stage. Remember, if this gets too intense, You can let it go for now and just go back to downward dissolving. You're correcting what in your system needs correcting, so that your lack of patience won't do you in. Now start going up through your feet and your ankles. Where do you feel a blockage there? Ice to water, water to gas. And let your mind go up a little bit higher. And endeavor to resolve whatever blockage you find. Remember, if you can't resolve it after a sufficient period of time, or when you realize that nothing's going to happen in the next 5 minutes or 5,000 years, then the interconnections of everything being interconnected inside your body, you will find somewhere else in your body that's going to release it. Just not where you are now. And then go up until you feel the next blockage. Remember that if you were unable to resolve a blockage, you're taking that unresolved energy and you're bringing it to the next place, upward in your body. And you continue there, combining them. The difference between upward and downward dissolving is only the direction that it's happening in. And then go to the next place where you find a blockage, maybe somewhere around your knee. begin ice to water, water to gas. Now, whenever you bring energy up from your feet for whatever reason, whatever God's movement, make sure it just lingers at least for a second or two and energizes the blockage that you are working on. And continue up a little higher, maybe to the height of your hip. And see if you can find what's in your lower body. With upper dissolving, you usually focus more on dissolving the points in the back of your body. The back of your ankles, the back of your calves, the back of your thighs, the back of your torso, and the back of your neck. When you do downward dissolving, usually you put a little more emphasis into the front of your body, because it's yin. But when you bring energy upward, that's yang. And you want to put a little more attention on noting what's going on the back of your body. It's like a dramatic difference. Not a dramatic difference, but it's something more. And then come up to Mingmen. Mingmen is the place in your spine where the energy from your lower dantian connects through the middle of your body to cause your energy to circulate around the more surface parts of your body. And you always want to check that everything is okay with Mingmen. Try to resolve there. And then keep on going up. Remember, you want to dissolve whatever is in your back muscles, as well as what's on your spine. Although it usually is the spine itself that is the most important. eventually it is dissolving inside the spinal cord itself. That's the most important. And then keep on going up your spine to the height of the vertebra behind your heart. Strengthening this area of your body with upward dissolving is very useful, especially in terms of emotions. Going down, dissolving downward, when you hit the heart, is very good point for balancing your emotions and enabling their receptivity, their capacity to recognize what's going on inside yourself or inside of others. But the space behind the vertebra in back of the heart is about your heart becoming strong and not being susceptible to frivolous influences of which life abounds. Emotional strength is not the same as physical or mental strength. So when you hit the vertebra in back of your heart, that's a good point to remember. Then continue to go up the back of the spine, up the shoulders, and to the vertebra in the back of the neck. Ice to water, water to gas. Releasing whatever is bound out to the end of your etheric field in back of you, which will clean it and recirculate it around your body. And then continue to dissolve up to the occiput, where the spine joins your brain. Going up to the top of the head, dissolve by way, and out into your etheric body. And then just pause and relax. And you can sit down if you want to. You don't have to. Did you feel you were in meditation class?
No, I was awake.
Oh, good.
Oh,
So, did you have some sense of that?
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised at how clear my legs were.
Good.
Which was very nice. So that there was sort of the toothpaste tube feeling that I was squishing everything out to my shoulders and my neck.
Aha.
Not quite as successful at dissolving the shoulders and neck. It felt nice sort of just skipping ahead. But behind the heart, it was first tense on my back there. But that did seem to dissolve.
Oh, good.
But the back of the shoulder and then up in my neck here, haven't gotten there yet. But I was expecting more going on below. But
That's great.
felt fairly open.
How was it for you, Shelley?
I started with both feet and then focused on the right because that seemed to be where the blockages were stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And the interesting thing is that I found the blockages more intense than I have when I focus when I'm trying to dissolve down.
Uh-huh.
It was also moving through my leg was like walking through mud. It was thick and slow.
Yeah.
One thing I found when I finally got to my knee, I was dissolving little by little, but I got to my knee, and when I was done, there were sparkles.
Ooh, cool.
And I found that again behind the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I didn't have the sense of a blockage there, something cleared.
Good. Yeah, that's a really important point. That's good. Both of you, good.
I'm wondering why I felt the blockages in my leg so strongly coming up, where I normally don't feel them going down.
So part of that may just be that you've been doing downward dissolving for a long time. And so you had not encountered the upward blockages before.
Okay.
As I think I was pointing out, they are not actually in the same parts of the body. So when you're downward dissolving, it's mostly in the front and sometimes the side
Mm-hmm.
of the leg when you get in the leg. But when you're doing the upward dissolving, you're coming up, as we've discovered, the inside and the back of the leg, and it's a different place.
Yes, it's mud.
And I think certainly with what you're dealing with, that it's not a surprise that you have blockages, particularly in your right leg.
Yeah.
So
It was interesting. I liked trying it.
yeah, good. So despite the fact that we do this sort of demonstrative practice, if you will, um, in class of going through the whole body, the recommendation really is that when you start to do this at home, that you only go the first day as far as the ankle, and feel like you really clear from the etheric body below your feet through the foot and through the ankle, and then the next day go up into the calf and maybe to the back of the knee. You have to kind of see what's appropriate for you, and then to the thighs, and then to the hip, and just go one step at a time, and just really focus each day on the next step rather than trying to rush through the whole body every day right away. Eventually, yes, but take your time getting there.
But if you start off and you know, well, okay, I've got some shoulder blockage here. Start downward on that first. I'm asking, is that, you know,
I would recommend doing downward dissolving first. I think that helps to clear and prepare you a little more for being able to come up. Yep, I think that's actually wise. Yeah. I want to say something else here. You can read about that. It's not particularly applicable at the moment. Of course, the real difficulty is after you feel like you are able to dissolve upward just standing, is to begin to do this while you're doing God.
yeah, I was thinking about it. I don't know how this would work with God.
So that's why you might want to do this for quite a while before you get into that, quite appropriately, as a matter of fact. And I want to repeat again that despite the fact that we're taking, by the time we get through with what I'm capable of introducing, we will have spent over 4 years on this. So we haven't been racing through it, but we haven't been going at a snail's pace either. And so holding on to the notes and the video links so that you can go back at some time in the future if you want to and review things that you haven't fully introduced. Because even getting the first 4 levels here, it's hard enough, and it may be all that we need. I also did a little bit of Shengong with gods, with Bruce at one point. But unfortunately, that's something that I have to be with him to do, and I haven't been able to go back to Colorado. And as a matter of fact, I haven't been to Colorado at all. That first was actually in Boston, so.
A little easier to get to from here.
What?
It's a little easier to get to from here.
A little bit easier, yes. So, any other questions about gods?
I don't have any questions about gods right now, but I'm thinking about what you're saying,
Mhm.
that we'd be using this to train gods. And my head is wondering how that's going to work, but I don't think I want that answered today.
Okay.
Because there's so much else going on,
Yep.
Yeah,
so much other forms of movement happening.
And that's why this is introduced as a standing practice. To to add this in with what we're already trying to incorporate in gods at this point would probably just create chaos. So absolutely, this can be the beginning of your practice when you do, because it's a good way to start with dissolve
no,
and then to do the movement. So that's what I would recommend for the moment. And
That I might be able to incorporate into God's.
yeah,
Do
yeah,
yeah, absolutely. And you may, it's interesting when you do it as a standing practice first. Every once in a while you will, or at least let me say I found, that I just was doing it. So, and it just here and there, it would sort of be spotty at first. So, just let it happen when it's ready to happen. Good. So any woo Tai Chi And yes, you ought to be able to do this when you're doing Tai Chi too, but that's obviously well down the road.
That's down the road.
You know, I did, years ago, one of the workshops I did with Bruce when he was going to Boston was actually meditating while doing Tai Chi. And that this was not simply allowing the movement to be meditative, but literally meditating while doing the form. And I'm not sure I really have actually arrived at being able to do that yet. Although I must say when I was there, I felt like in the workshop that I had moments of getting pretty close to it. But now it's very hard for me to get back to that, I will admit. But I have moments. When it feels as if I am approaching it, beginning to do it. So that's something else that can happen down the road.
The reading over the notes from the Daegonmego got me a third of the way through, and his whole talking about his 12 hours a day in India, and opening his eyes and finding himself standing on his head.
Yeah.
That's a level of meditation I don't even remotely aspire to, let alone.
No.
So his idea of meditation and my idea of meditation may be so far on the continuum as to be almost invisible to each other.
As you read, though, in those his comments, he turned away from that because that didn't seem right to him either. I mean, he accepted that was possible, but because he was doing it. Yeah, well, he's had a lot of experience. But he doesn't expect everyone to do that. So, and neither do I.
How old was he? Do you have any idea of when he started going?
I think he went to China in '76, I believe, which was very early.
But India was before that.
I mean India in '76. When he actually got, I'm not sure when he got to China, but so that's been 45 years ago, which means that he would have been roughly 25.
Okay, so he was an adult. I was thinking this 14-year-old or something.
No. But he was, he had multiple black belts in karate and other martial arts. I didn't even know what all. But by that time, he was already crazy.
He was already on his path.
He was. It's very. You should sometime. You can find interviews with him when he was in his 20s and 30s, and he was a hard-ass, ego-filled martial artist. He's a very different person now than he was then. It's interesting to see the transformation. And that was very much what his first book was about. Was his discovery that soft martial artists could wind him around their finger without trying, and he thought he was really hot stuff. So, that had to have been a real aha moment. So, interesting guy. I've been rereading for the umpteenth time the Tao of Tai Chi Chuan, which, as I may have mentioned, I have the version that Dr. J and Lama edited, which is handwritten. It's not there. He was never able to get Master Joe's daughter to use it. But it is, I am again just astonished at how amazing Master Joe was. I'm in the middle of the chapter on the classics, and his discussion in reference to those is, I mean, I've read it a million times, but every time you read it, you have changed.
Yep.
And that's been maybe one of my real awarenesses, is that now I understand more of what he was saying than I certainly did 20 years ago. And I have even greater admiration for him. As a matter of fact, it's well worth reading, even in the unedited version. So, I don't know whether I have anything else today or not. Anything either you want to raise or ask?
My head is both full and empty.
That's good. That's yin and yang. That's wonderful.
There you go.
Well, as I had shared with Shell, this is not one of my better days. I am fortunately seeing my therapist again this afternoon, which is a good thing. But that may be where we're ending today, if you'll forgive me.
That sounds just. How did you find your therapist?
Oh, Jane and Zach used him 30 years ago.
Wonderful.
And I met him then too. When Zach was going to have therapy, Jane and I actually had a session with him first, and then I think I attended one with Zach too. But then the adults got out of the way. But that's when I met him. So I
Are you still practicing?
Yes, he is. He does EMDR, and that was very effective for them, and I'm sure it will be helpful to me. We're still in the preparatory stage at the moment, but it helps.
Good. John worked with someone who did that.
Yeah.
Who, of course, died. His therapist died a couple years last year.
Oh, that's too bad. Well, this man I highly recommend if you if anybody's looking for a therapist. He is.
Where is he?
Glastonbury. Southern Glastonbury.
Yeah, that's
It's a trip.
yeah, that's beyond my circumference, so
Oh,
whatever. Where I'm willing to go at this point.
okay.
Okay, but,
Yeah, it's, what is it, it's about, oh, well, that's right where you are, babe. A long, really long drive. It's about 30 minutes, 35 minutes for us. For Jane. But anyway,
you started doing this.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shelley, stay on your feet.
Yes.
I'm going to try.
Okay.
So are we bringing the wheelchair on Thursday, or are we bringing the Cadillac?
Cadillac.
Is that the
The rollator.
Okay. And you've got
Yep.
4 of us to help you.
Yes.
And I think this takes, I'm used to this. I took it on one boat.
Yeah.
If it's rough, I'll just stay seated.
Yeah.
We may all stay seated.
Yes.
If it's rough.
Yeah.
True. Very true. And I guess there's,
I'm so glad you and Jane are going to join us.
oh, thank you. Well, we're
It's gonna be fun.
do so. Yeah, I think it'll be fun. We really love all 3 of you, so it's a delightful gathering.
Yes. It was just so lovely that it started with me as Shelley talking about her cruise and my saying, oh, gee, I'd always wanted to do this, and she said, well, if you do it, I'll go. And so it was like, okay. that turns it into a plan instead of a dream.
Excellent.
Right, right.
We jumped on board.
Excellent.
Hey,
So we're looking forward to it very much.
yeah, see you on Thursday.
Yeah, so we're going to meet it at Shelley's.
At Shelley's by 12:30.
Shelley's by 12:30. Okay.
And it should take us about half an hour to get down to New London. Grab Linda at 1
Uh-huh.
and get down to the ferry at 1:05.
Yes. Okay.
You know, because from the church to the ferry is do.
Excellent. Okay.
It's walkable. You know, it's technically walkable, but
Okay. Good. 12:30 it is.
Right.
Great. So we'll see you at 12:30 on Thursday.
I'll be here.
Well, I'm glad to hear it.
Okay.
Have
Bye.
a good 3 days.
You too.
I'm hitting the wrong thing.
well, do you need to stop the recording first, or does ending it stop the recording?
Ending it stops, but it doesn't want to end.
You missed it.
Yes, I did.
There you go.